Hidden Strike American Revolution is a strategy game for 1 to 5 players. It is designed by Dorian Richard and Maurice Seckling and illustrated by Sean Cook. It was published in 2020 by Worthington Publishing. Depending on mode, the precise actions will be different. We'll explain this soon. In general, each side plays cards to either deploy and/or move pieces in order to take over regions. Play as the Americans and their allies, or the British and their allies. Allies are distinguished by different colored pieces, but in general the Americans are blue and cool colors and the British are red and warm. Troop pieces have a strength of 1 to 3 depending on size. Fleets don't have strength but are used to blockade regions. All pieces have starting places on the board, so you can see exactly how many forces are available to each side. Play cards to deploy troops and fleets in order to gain majority in each of the 6 regions from Canada down to the southern colonies. Control a region with strength of 8 or more and beat the other side by at least 2 strength. Once this happens, place the appropriate control flag on the board. This region is now resolved for the rest of the game. Certain conditions allow the Americans to put a region under siege, which is marked by a gray marker with 2 strength. A region under siege requires 12 strength to control. Players start with a single card with unique abilities. American founding fathers such as George Washington, Sam Adams, and Benjamin Franklin in both Mastermind and Co-op mode have one-and-done abilities that help mitigate bad luck and lead you to victory. If a player controls the British, their ability allows them more freedom in placing forces and provides them with additional reserves. Each side has an asymmetric deck of cards. In general, you'll play a single card from your hand of 3, which determines which troop or fleet you can deploy and where. Optionally, the Americans can discard cards to promote weaker troops to stronger versions. There are 5 ways to play this game. Co-op puts 2 to 5 players as the American forces against a British bot. Mastermind mode has 2 or 3 American teammates against a British player. Versus is the exact same but has 2 people facing off one another on opposing sides. Trainer mode is like co-op, but one of the Americans is secretly a British spy. Finally, there's also a solo mode. No matter which mode you play, the game ends and all 6 colonies are controlled. Whichever side controls more colonies wins. Depending on mode, there can be exceptions to this. To break it down, play cards to deploy forces to help your side control regions before your opponent. That's Hidden Strike American Revolution. Our games of Hidden Strike American Revolution have averaged around 60 minutes, including Settlement Takedown. Setting up takes a couple of minutes, but at least the prices have pre-printed places on the board. Taking down is quicker because you're just gathering the played cubes and cards. I believe co-op works just as well as at higher player counts, but if there's a person controlling the British, I prefer the one-on-one versus mode over Mastermind. You need about 3 feet by 4 feet, because the board cheap rectangular tables work best. The hand management decisions and strategy mean it's probably best saved for experienced gamers 10 and up. There is a lot of reading, but I think kids that age will be fine for the most part. In our first game of Hidden Strike American Revolution, we played the co-op mode against the bot. Unfortunately, as in many of our games, we quickly lost Canada to the Brits. We blockaded them in response, slowing them down New England and the Mid-Atlantic. Not long afterwards, we took the northern colonies plus the sieged southern colonies. While the bot focused on Tidewater, we reinforced our blockaded regions to win. Hidden Strike American Revolution's board and cards have fantastic graphic design, giving the game good table presence. The rulebook has many examples, and the board has references, so you don't always have to refer to the cards. Speaking of the rules, they are complex at first, but you'll have to hang things after a few rounds of your first game, and the layout of the board really helps with game flow. There isn't a lot of downtime thanks to the straightforward mechanisms and alternating turns. With only a few cards and activation zones, players don't have an overwhelming number of choices in front of them. There will be luck of the draw, but I already mentioned that the Americans have founding fathers cards. Both sides have troops of different strengths, but the British have access to more fleets and to additional troop types, Dragoons and Hessians. The British player feels powerful, and honestly, they should. This isn't a combat game like Memo 44, or even a game with asymmetric win conditions like the Shores of Tripoli. It's a race for area majority, much like Fort Sumter. It fits the theme well. The Americans wanted to rally their citizens against the British before their side, since the entire force is to permanently put an end to the uprising. The founding fathers and different modes give this a decent amount of replayability, but I could see this getting stale by 10 plays. Then again, I think this could stay on your shelf longer if you use this strictly as the game you bring out to introduce wargames or the American Revolution to newer/younger gamers. Part of what makes Mastermind interesting is that you can have less experienced players team summon against another experienced player, kind of like how I said to bail Mum out when Dad plays the British. With that said, the classic 1v1 is my favorite way to play. Hidden Strike American Revolution is an area majority game with some hand management. This is one I was interested in when my parents told me about it on Kickstarter, mostly because of the co-op. We play a ton of co-ops, but never a co-op war game. It turns out that while I like that mode, I enjoyed it most playing against a single person. Maybe that's a sign that I should try more of the war games on our shelves. Fans of hand management and area majority usually turned off by war games may still appreciate the quick and clever gameplay, especially in co-op or mastermind. For serious war gamers, this may be best suited to introduce friends/family to your hobby.